We are recording, everybody. Hey guys, welcome to session number 6. We just crossed the halfway point of 10 training days over a course of 14 days, the 14-day challenge. And the reason we call this a challenge is we kind of want you to get your hands dirty. We're throwing some cool ideas at you, but try to implement a few of these things. I'm going to ask some questions on this particular one, get some feedback, get some involvement. But I wanted to welcome everybody, and I think we're going to start off with a little bit of a presentation. But before we do that, on the tail end of Dennis's program, he talked about social media and how we can take and implement strategies, and at no direct cost, just use, smart use of our time, we can start leveraging these platforms and draw attention to our businesses and hopefully draw some customers off of that. And if you're really smart about it, you can do really well on that. Somebody had asked, what about Google? Now, I'm not a Google authority, but I did at least want to touch on that. Do most of us know about, everybody should be Google verified. Google verified basically means, okay, you're a real company. That's that when you put your company's name and address and all that good stuff in there in Google, and they send you a postcard with a code on it, and you go back and verify, and they know that you're at that address. That's just their way of verifying that you're there. But that's not the same as Google Guaranteed, which is the newer thing. Is anybody in the group Google Guaranteed? This is a good point for somebody maybe to share their experience. Are you Google Guaranteed?
I am.
Mark is? Go ahead, Mark. Tell us a little bit about that process as best you can. You don't have to go too much in detail, just for the benefit of those who may not be, please.
From what I remember, it was needed background checks, proof of insurance. There was a whole bunch of steps to it, and then it took probably almost 6 to 8 weeks to get verified through there. It took a long time.
Okay, good. And I'd heard something similar as well. And I also, I don't think you have to have every employee background checked, just every employee that you plan on sending into somebody's home. Is that the case, Mark?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was. It was just me, so I didn't have to get anybody else done.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when we're small. But I was speaking with a company up north. I'm trying to think what state, Nebraska, I believe it was. This guy nailed it. I mean, he had the great results, and he was maintaining 5 stars somehow. I think he got a 1 star from somebody. We always have a customer out there that wants to rock the boat because, they looked up that internet price and judged you as some kind of a ripoff because they don't understand the business. But that kind of stuff happens. So we have to open up a channel of communication and keep that as clean as possible, because you can contest some of these if they are in fact contestable. But it's important enough to know that the vast majority of the search is done on the internet these days is through Google. So it's really important that we leverage that. And it's a pain in the rear to sit through 6 and 8 weeks to get authorized as a Google Guaranteed dealer. But you know what? That could be a good thing if you just take the time to get through it and get over that. A lot of other companies won't even bother. So at least you're there. But if you do, you really have to watch your reviews closely and make sure that that's kept clean. I had one of the guys in this group, I had sent him a message. Somebody gave him a bad review, and he had to go in and clean that up, but he wasn't even aware of it, because if we don't pay attention to that kind of stuff, it'll kind of come back and haunt us later. I'm going to jump in here just real briefly on a little bit of a tactic that we're using here. Let's see here. I want to do a presentation. Bear with me, guys. Maybe. And we're going to reverse. There we go. So this should be good for you. And I'm going to be looking over this way so I can see. Oh no, so I can see my mouse. So Google is where everybody's at. So this is a little bit of a tip, a little bit of a, what's the fancy word today, or the catchy word? A hack. That's what everybody's using now. This is a hack. And there are people on this call that have done this. So maybe they can speak to this. And anytime that we can take and be smart and get on a really high ranking on Google, without it costing us much money or any money, then we really need to take advantage, particularly if we're in that position in our business where we have more time than money, so you can invest in yourself in this. So we'll real quickly kind of go through this. Google is the #1 search engine in the world, of course. And interestingly enough, it might be about 8 or 10 years ago now, Google purchased YouTube. And it's for that reason Google loves to promote YouTube. So based on that, we can take and optimize certain information about our business over on YouTube, and Google will actually let it appear in their search results, and generally they'll give it higher priority over a lot of established websites and things like that that's out there. SEO, of course, is expensive. You know, it's just paying somebody to do that. Here's some example on some prices here. Perhaps you can see all types of packages of these companies that that charge to keep your website or whatever it is, your landing page, whatever it is that you're trying to promote, to keep it to the top of Google. It costs money. And so here's some average monthly retainers that businesses are using, and we're looking at about an average of it looks to be somewhere between 250 and 1,500. It seems to be where the bulk of them is. There's a large percentage that go in that $2,500 to $5,000 range, though. And what is SEO? It's search engine optimization. In other words, how do we take this website and really jazz it up so that when somebody's on a search engine like Google and they search, it comes up. And generally it's a combination of 3 key elements. It's content, the information that's within it that's relevant to what the searcher is looking for, along with certain keywords. Now, keywords, if you heard that term, you're not familiar with what that is, it's basically kind of a search term. If I'm looking for air conditioning in Tampa, Florida, I might not type out air conditioning. I might just type AC or air con or try to abbreviate. A lot of people will do this. And so what we've learned is there are certain key words or really common terms that people are typing in just intuitively. And while they're searching for your services, or any service for that matter. And based on that, the ranking is basically what order it comes up. Does it come up on page 1, page 2? Does it come up on position 1, position 2? So a combination of these is what really creates it. It gets kind of complicated, and there's a lot to this kind of stuff. But we're not SEO experts. We're HVAC experts. So the point of this brief portion is to discuss this little bit of a hack that we called basically allowing YouTube and Google, their relationship, for them to work in your behalf. So you can take and create something in a video format. Doesn't have to be too fancy or too long, and you can literally have that rank and outrank other highly SEO'd websites over on Google. And I'm gonna give you an example right here. This is an actual shot, and here's my picture. Let me minimize this. This is the actual ranking. So I had to put it really long here so we could see, but this is an ad. This is obviously the map. This is train.com. This looks like Lindstrom, which is a train dealer there in that market, Fort Lauderdale. And then here we are with this ranking. Now, this is a video, they call this a thumbnail. A thumbnail is a cover page to your video, and you can, based on your YouTube channel, of course, if you have a Gmail account, you automatically have a YouTube channel. You just have to get all that stuff set up and turned on, and you can literally get on a really high rank and outrank a number of these train dealers. Sorry, I went too fast. And here's a blow up of that. So the keywords on this was train dealer, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. This was done probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Protocol Cooling, buddy of mine over there in that market, we did that for him, and it's really pretty easy. There's basically 5 key steps. So what we have to do is, going back to step number one, we have to really identify which keywords that we want to target. Now, unlike websites where we're trying to optimize our website to come up for furnaces, for air conditioning, for duct cleaning, for humidifiers, for all these different things that we do, if you really want to have a strong impact, you want to get really focused in on a single keyword, and it's only about that keyword, and make that video just for that particular keyword or search term or variation thereof. And if we're smart, there's a bunch of keywords out there. Now, they're the keywords that all of your competitors are searching for right now, or fighting over right now because the competition is searching for. And then there's something we call secondary keywords. Secondary keywords are the ones that people are looking, they're searching on, but they're just not as in high demand. So it's really, really easy to outrank everybody. So let me give you an example. Let's say that in 1 month's time, there's a highly desirable set of keywords like AC contractor in your city, right? And then there's one that's probably not as common. Maybe it's HVAC repair service or something, whatever that might be. And we've got a whole list of these. The one that's in high demand, it might get 100 searches per month or more, depending on what time of the year it is, when we're in demand season. But the other one may only get 10. But the thing is, if you go out and you find one of these secondary keywords and you rank for one of those, and then you do another one and another one, another one. If you have 10 of those secondary keywords with your little individual videos, and they don't take that long to make, highly optimize them and everything else. Now you have 10 times 10. Now you're looking at 100 searches per month because you were smart and you worked it a little bit different. So once you determine the keywords that you want to target in order to take advantage of this little thing that Google has with YouTube, you'll want to produce some type of a video. Now, you don't have to get in front of the camera. In fact, I do most of my stuff on screen recordings. And something kind of like what we're looking at right now, I might record a version of this and talk about it. And then that video actually comes up in a file. And here's an example of what that file might look like. What we do is we do an optimization internally in that file. And this is our buddy DNL. He's actually on the call. And so what we did here is we went in and we gave him 5 stars. We have a title, subtitle. We come in with some nice comments. And then the genre is HVAC. There's a host of different things that we're going to put in there. And the reason we do that is once the video is uploaded to a platform like YouTube, if you've ever seen the closed caption, they misspell everything. They don't understand the narrative unless you actually have that typed in, but they do understand the content of this file. There's a little bit of a trick here that you can utilize in order to optimize internally. This is before you ever upload it to the internet. Okay. And so then we're going to upload it to the internet. And so we come onto our YouTube channel and we're going to optimize it externally. In other words, within YouTube, there's all these different things that we can fill out and tags, and there's just a host of different things we can do. We can add our own thumbnail and so on and so forth. So now we've created a basic video based on a key search term or keyword. We've optimized it internally. We've optimized it online, and now we can actually promote it. For those of us who use Google AdWords, you don't just have to do pay per click. You can do pay per view. And these views, some of them are about 6 cents, 7 cents, 10 cents per view. It's very economical. And if your video gets enough views and everything's balanced out properly, well, the next thing you know, you're number 1, or you're certainly on the top page. Now, this is just me being funny. Obviously, I put the best HVAC company in the world. I did not come up number 1, as you can imagine. But the point is, let me exit out of here. There we go. I've got some technical stuff going on here. So that's kind of an overview of what we can do for free and get at the top of Google by leveraging the platform that they own, which is YouTube. I've got some comments in the chat. Let me just see here. 95%, Dennis says 95% of SEO people are full of it. This is pretty easy to do, and I'm going to show it right now. Show you guys right now. Josh, is there a good way to decipher which keywords would be secondary? Yeah, you can. You know how they've got the predictive typing on there, and you can actually go in there and it'll try to predict. Now, there is one thing that they did that this kind of smart on Google's part, because they're basically standing between you and your customer and holding their hand out for money. Right? And anything we can do to get around that is good. And one of the things that they do is they put that near me phrase. So if I'm looking for a restaurant, Italian restaurant, it'll say near me. If I don't go through and type in my city, then I bypass that. But there's still a ton of people that are going to put in their city, particularly if they're at work and they're commuting and they're looking for something over in their community, over like if they work in Fort Lauderdale, but they live in Sunrise, which are neighboring communities. And if you're in one of the big metropolitan areas, you probably know what I'm talking about. How did you do the internal optimization again? That's basically taking a file. When you open up your video file, you right click and it says properties. When you open up the properties, there's all these blanks that you can just fill in. And that's really what that's about. Now I'm going to look real quick. Somebody stop me. I'm just kidding. Let's see here. Mark, what market are you in?
Suburbs of Chicago.
Okay. What suburb?
Schaumburg. Or I'm in Streamwood, but Schaumburg's the.
And how do I spell that?
Streamwood, STREAM, wood, one word.
Okay. Okay. See how good I am. What kind of equipment do you sell?
What brand?
Yes.
Bryant.
Okay, so if somebody is in your area and they do a search, here's our results. This is just on the fly, obviously. No, this is on the mark. Who is this guy? Good job. So you got the #1 spot there. So there's no videos here. Let's go under this is under the all category, and this is what most people are going to search. They're generally not going to come over here and search for videos, but let's make it more competitive. Let's see who's in Chicago. All right. Bryant dealer, looks like this is Bryant.com, Bryant.com. There's nothing here. Nobody's doing this over in your area, Mark, if you want to take advantage of this. Nobody. Here's some images that are popping up. If we look specifically under videos, let's see, Bryant heating and cooling system. Let's just do a quick, just see if they had any views. Maybe. Not going to play this. I don't think it'll play. I think my speaker's not going to allow it to, my microphone's not going to allow it to play. Figures. Oh, anyway, so there's that. And so I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. Now, this is one that we did here, Rude Dealer in Port St. Lucie. This is one of the ones that are in our group, and they went through our training session that we did this. This is just an example. So a Rude Dealer in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Here we have the map, and then these are the two videos, and they're basically #1 and #2, right? This one, #1 is the one that I did for him a month ago. Tomorrow? And then here's one that he did. Well, it's the same one, 37 seconds. So it's basically the same video, right? Right next door is our train dealer in Port St. Lucie. This is an ad, train.com, train.com, train.com. And the first organic is his video, a train AC dealer. And it's really that simple. And it's just a nice little hack that might help you put something together. Now, I want to speak to what Dennis said. If you only make videos for that, that 3% of the time when somebody's actually on the hunt looking for you, that's good. We want to start there, but that other 97% of the time, we want to put out information that starts to bring your company's name to mind and allows you to, number one, build credibility, right? If you are the informative video maker periodically, and you can leverage this, there's tons of ways to do this. Video, by the way, is the most engaging form of advertising. We know this. You know, print's nice, pictures are better, video is fully engaging, and it really has a good impact if it's well done. Building brand recognition. We had Mark on the mark, I believe it is. Informative, any information that you put out that builds credibility. Familiarity, if I pronounce that right. They become familiar with you. Now, remember, when you have these estimates and you're going out, they've never heard of you, they're pretty tough to overcome. But if your information has been out and you've been on the right platforms and they kind of have heard of you and they've seen a couple of your videos, that resistive wall starts to come down a good bit. It establishes trust. It's a lot easier to trust somebody if they present themselves as trustworthy, as credible as the local authority, and we also establish a standard in the area. But the big one is local authority. Back when I had my business in the 90s, I did something I never thought I would ever do. I wrote an article about preventive maintenance and how important it is for HVAC equipment. I sent it into the local Gazette, which is the newspaper there in town, and they published it. They said, Pete, come on in. We want you to take your picture. They took my picture. I'm published in the local newspaper, guys. I've never written anything in my life. And so I read it. Next thing you know, for about a week, we're getting phone calls in, and people want to know more, and they want to work with us. Because if you're published in the local newspaper, all of a sudden you're somebody. Media platforms, some better than others, tend to lend a good bit of credibility, right? So
hey,
you
Pete,
can yes.
You know what? You are so dead on about that. And I think a big point to get across is a lot of HVAC contractors, they're so nervous about doing videos, but putting stuff out there like publishing articles that they organically write or creating an ebook, something very basic, and they don't understand that if they do that, they're the 1% out there that do that. And oh my goodness, the way to make themselves stand out, it's staggering. It's unbelievable how it shows up. So awesome point. Love that.
Yeah. And here's another one to Dennis's point. We did this. We'd go to these training things. I think we won several train dealer awards because we were train dealers. We had several. And we had pictures, and we submitted them as a press release to the paper. They're always looking for filler. And I'm in there multiple times as the local guy. You know, my company was Ramsey Services. Ramsey Services won this award. Ramsey Services attended this training. Ramsey Services. And they started hearing about us. And next thing you know, we started getting some phone calls off of this stuff. You know, it wasn't a huge amount, but it come in surges. Every time something would come out in the newspaper, we get a bunch of calls, you know, kind of cool stuff. Cool stuff. Somebody else. We're going to move on to another topic here before long, and I just want to make sure that this is a good point, guys. This is a really good thing to take advantage of. We've got a full program on this. In fact, we did it within this private group, just like this. It does take time. It's not going to make your phones ring off the hook necessarily. It might. I mean, you might have 1,000 views and never get one call. You may get one call and get a job off of it. You know, you may have one view and get an actual work off of it. It's funny how that works. But the point is, you're not going to get any if you don't put yourself out there, right? So that's the general point. Now,
Pete.
Yes.
What video or what kind of video would you make first? Like, if you're just going to start off and do one.
I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to play this. You're probably going to have to strain your ears. Let me just do a real quick search. Let me go in here and we'll just watch one. This is something that let's just look at this one. Very, very quick to the point. Don't make it too long. And let's see if this plays okay. I'm going to try to move my microphone over to the speaker, but you probably won't be able to hear it very well.
Air Conditioning is one of Florida's top training air conditioning contractors. Call now and have your training system cooling and or heating perfectly in no time. Mention this video to get a special $200 discount on selected training systems. When you think train, think MD Air Conditioning. Call now.
Now there's one other tactic I want to mention. Let's see here. Up there. I'm going to do a search.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Pete,
Jump on
so
in.
I made a couple videos, but how do you tag them so they link to your business? So I'm Google guaranteed, which is great because not a lot of people are in my area. But then I tried to make a couple videos, but under the tag section, do I just put like my business name, or how do you kind of link it so they, identified it to your company?
That's what I'm going to try to illustrate. Initially, what you're going to have to do, Eric, is you're going to have to just put it in here. Initially, but and I just put some nice explanation in here, whatever. But there's another way of doing this, but you have to have your channel a little better farther along in order to qualify it. So many subscribers and things like this. Hang on a minute. Let me just look. There we go. My guy in Fort Lauderdale. So on his, this is an old one, as you can see. This is back in 2015. He has done nothing, guys. This has been on page 1 for years. He does nothing to promote it. We promoted it for about 6 months, and he's done nothing. It's just stayed up there. Now, they don't always go to page 1. Here, you can look at this one real quick. Get another idea. Maybe. No.
Interested in a new Trane air conditioner? There are 3 things you must know before investing in a Trane. Watch this quick video and you'll learn exactly what they are. Post AC contract.
I'm going to pause right there. You see this? You see this? I click there. He's a Trane comfort specialist. I'm going to click in another link so we don't lose it. And it should go to his promotions page. If I did this right. That's how you do it. But I'm going to exit out of that. And then I'll just because this is really a quick video. So
Contractors are not familiar with Trane's vast variety of equipment solutions. They only know and sell a few Trane models. Go with a Trane contractor who's intimately familiar with all of Trane's options, such as Trane Comfort Specialist, critical cooling solutions, to ensure that you get the right Trane product for you. Over 90% of Trane's warranty issues come from contractor errors during the equipment installation. Make sure that you choose one of Trane's factory Trane dealers, such as Trane Multiple Award recipient Protocol Cooling Solutions, to make sure your Trane is installed right. Trane are among the very best available. While equipment makes up about 70% of your home comfort system, it's that other 30% that can get in trouble and cost you big time down the road. Go with a contractor whose warranties complement Trane's warranty, bumper to bumper style, fully protect you against future repair costs. Trane Comfort Spec.
I'll stop there, guys. I don't want to put you through the whole thing, but the point is, that one's a little longer. I think it's kind of me, and we have to make it about your customer the best we can. But that's a full commercial. Those are on his website, things like that. You can do them. We ranked him #1 in Spanish for people looking down in South Florida. A lot of Spanish people. Aire roto, broken air AC, and we're #1 on that particular city. Now this is kind of cool. Remember what I called a thumbnail? Is this like the little picture that's like that's on right underneath the play button? You can select that picture, obviously called a thumbnail. Well, they're standard thumbnails, but at one time, and it depends on how well you nail this in. I've done it because I did this. I had a contract with some doctors when I was doing video marketing a while back, and we did this. And so you would search for like train, and in this case, it was their laser, and then your city. And this doctor, Dr. Stern, she came up with an oversized video. So that it's like when you clicked it, there was this, not this little tiny thumbnail, but it was this big thumbnail, and it was pretty impressive. And she switched lasers on me. She went, evidently she had a relative that sold the competition or something like that, but it's still number one, but it lost the oversizing. But Google's always doing these cool, creative things, right? And they love Facebook. So if you, I would really recommend publishing yourself, get published on a regular basis. You can upload the same basic materials to Facebook that you can with YouTube. That said, just like Dennis pointed out, the difference between LinkedIn profiles and in Facebook, I think it was Gary Vee. He did a really good job on explaining this. But every one of these social media platforms has a different mindset, a different feel. We can be playful on one. We can be doing research on another. We can be strictly business or professional, like on LinkedIn, or it can be entertaining, or there's just, we have to be mindful of which platform is going on. But your videos, you can take that same video and edit it. You can put your bloopers on one and show that you're a real company. You just want to make sure that it's appropriate for that platform. But I would encourage you to break out the old camera. And if you don't want to get in front of it, that's okay. There's going to be, we've actually thought about this. There's actually going to be companies that are going to do this for you. And my challenge on that is nobody can can represent you as good as you can. I would encourage you to try to do it yourself, or at least show your employees and your vehicles, and maybe you can get somebody to narrate it like what Dennis was doing. But that's really going to be important going forward. If you beat the crowd in there, once you're number one, it's kind of hard to pass you once you've become established and you've got some history in there, and particularly if you ever oversize, that would be really cool. But yeah, think about tips. Think about maybe putting posts out about HVAC, your heating and cooling technology update. Hey, guess what come out this year? There's a new product in your heating air system, and now it does this. People get excited about this stuff, right? But if you are the local authority and you're putting your stuff out there, then put that up. Now, one thing you may want to do is get you an account with with an email maintenance program like MailChimp. If you've heard of that, it's free, up to 1,000 emails. And you can automate your emails, and you can put out a video newsletter for all of your customers, so that each month or every 2 months or every 3, whatever you decide, they get an email from you, and you're giving these great tips about how they can save money on their home, utilities, or whatever it is that might fit on that. Does that make sense? Good. Awesome. And we're buzzing right through. Any questions? Oh, let's see here, George. So it looks like you are branding Train more than the company. Any particular reason? Yes. What we're doing is we're responding to somebody who's looking for a Train dealer. That was that's what they're looking for, and you jump up there. The reason we put the Train on there is that's what they're looking for. If I put AC repair, I would not put Train up there. But the point is well taken, George. Excellent point. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, let's talk. Let me just see real briefly if I can bring up. I'm going to change the subjects if we're done with this. No more questions on this? There's more on this. We do this training on this stuff periodically in the group. And for you guys that are here, looks like we've got 15 on here. Good job. So many people don't actually take. Well, I thought I had that. Oh, okay, I've got it right here. Yeah, only the ones that get out there and invest in themselves in learning these things are gonna make the progress. And even if it's still an investment of your time. So one thing as we transition, we want to talk about preventive maintenance, and this is just a little document that I put together for my students, and we talk about all of your products and all of your services. And what we try to do is we come into these different categories and we decide, how is this good for our customer? What's in it for the customer, right? So a programmable thermostat, this is old school. It can improve comfort, right? It can help on efficiency using the setback modes. Safety, knowing that let's think about maybe you set back and but you always make sure that it never drops beneath a certain temperature because the pipe's freezing, whatever. And does it help with your capacity of your air conditioner? No. Does it really do anything for health? I don't know. There may be some that have IQ indicators on there. I'm not sure. I haven't heard of that yet. Reliability, it does help. Look at quality. Good customer service by offering this to your customer is good. And the big one is convenience. The big one is convenience. So what you'll want to do is take the time, list all of your products and services, and start checking these out. And based on this is how you want to start putting together the presentation to the consumer. When you're teaching your technicians to offer a product, one of your products and solutions, one of your products in terms of service for your customer, we don't want to be calling it a humidifier necessarily, or a let's see, here we are, ERVs or HRVs, right? I think it was George brought that up the other day. We start talking about all of the different things that it can actually help you with. These are the benefits that are in for the homeowner. But if you look on your maintenance agreement here, every X is blocked. This is a big one. And on our maintenance agreements, what we want to be able to communicate, there are categories. And if you will take and do a training class with your technicians and look at the categories, okay, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. I didn't have the document ready. Number one is safety. If I make this check on my preventive maintenance visit, is it safe? Does it make it safer? Does it save them money? Does it make the equipment more dependable? Does it help in capacity? So these categories, and what you can actually do, and I did this with my employees or my techs, is we went down. I said, how much per month, how much per year do you think this is worth? And we would, or per month, and we put this down, and you'd be surprised what it totals up to. It's a really good exercise. But the point is, we really need to make sure that your frontline representatives fully understand the benefits of each of your products and services, if you expect them to get behind them and present them properly to your actual customers. So the night before last, we talked about the financial benefit of preventive maintenance agreements. Tomorrow, Nick McDonald is going to give us some examples on how to sell more of them. And I haven't seen his program, so I don't want to go too much into this. If I see anything additional that I can add to that, I'll add it on Sunday when we pick back up. But for now, we're going to leave that kind of open for him. But let's at least revisit that. The industry average years ago was at least $1,000 per maintenance agreement per year on revenues, organic revenues from your business. If you only have one maintenance agreement if you only had one maintenance agreement, you'd build roughly $1,000 if you were able to average that, and we can, obviously. We based this our exercise on, well, how long does the equipment last? We decided on 15 years, but really, do we wait till the 15th year to replace it, or sometimes do we replace it at 12 or 13? Well, it really depends on the situation, doesn't it? And so the actual number that we calculate, that maybe 1 in 12. So let's just run some numbers. This is off the top of by way of review. If we had $1,000 of value per customer, and we've got a maintenance tech that can run these maintenance visits in a fashion that they're not too pushed, how many a day should we be able to do? One maintenance tech or service tech that's filling in, in the slow periods. 5? Anybody else? Okay, that's true. What if you wanted your maintenance tech to, in addition to doing the maintenance and really doing a good job, to do that Joe Crisara thing and really climb up and start looking at the rest of the system, especially if you have a good tech? How much additional time would it take for them to really go through, outside of just cleaning and servicing equipment, to go through and look at air distribution, look at, interact with the customers, try to see if we can find something that's a need particular to that family, IAQ. In other words, look for other opportunities. Maybe we couldn't do 5 a day in that case. Maybe we could only do 4. It doesn't take that long, right? Maybe 4. I've got a question in the chat. Just make sure 3 to 4 hours. 3 to 4 hours would be 2. So we need to look at that and decide what your maintenance program will allow you to do. But equally important is what your process will allow you to do. To be thorough, not to be rushed, to spend enough time with each customer and make sure that you are giving them that warm and fuzzy. This is key, because these are the customers that close between 8 and 9 times out of 10 when you give them an estimate on a new replacement equipment, right? So they do that because you build that rapport, you build that trust, and you don't do that by running in there and running out. You got to take your time. I would say, this is my experience, I would like my technicians to do 3 a day. Really take your time. Unless you've got a lot of travel time or something like that, maybe 4. If all they were doing were maintenance agreements, yeah, you could be much more efficient. And we're always thinking about efficiency, aren't we? So let's just say for math, 4 a day, and there's 5 days per week. And so during the slow periods, we can have one person doing 20 maintenance agreements per week. So if 1 out of 12-ish results in an estimate, because this is the way the math works. We could say 1 out of 15, but in reality, it's going to be more frequent, because not everybody's going to wait to that 15th year. Or you can use your numbers. 1 out of 15 is fine, but 1 out of 12 basically is going to result in some type of an estimate opportunity to replace the equipment. But Pete, I've got 2 service installers, and they need a job every day. We need to replace that equipment every day. So how do I get 5 estimates a week? Well, we do the math. Let's see here. If we had, gosh dang, I had to do that one, didn't I? Somebody calculate that for me. Who's got the calculator? So if we had, if we have a closing ratio of 90%, roughly, if you get 1 estimate, you're going to get 1 sale. In a 2-week time, you're going to miss 1. But the point is, we can reverse engineer this and determine how many maintenance agreements are going to keep our installation crew full during that period. And let's say that period is about a 3-month period. So if I have 3 techs doing 20 a week, that would be 60 per week times 4 weeks is 240 per month. And pretty much slamming it for 3 months, just doing maintenance. That's 720 maintenance agreements per season. We do it twice a year, so that's the same customers. We're going to come back and do it again in 6 months. So this is the power of keeping your team busy and providing maintenance leads. Now, let's just say that 720 over that period of time, and I'm going to hit my calculator. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. So if we had 720 maintenance agreements, right, and we divide that by 12, now we're looking at 60 opportunities divided by 3 months. So 180, shoot, I did that wrong. Let me start back over. 720 divided by 12, and that's times 0.9. So we're looking at about 55 replacements during the slow season, 54, 55, something like that. Questions? Okay, So George mentioned on the last one, hey, Pete, what do you think about this strategy? It's funny, George don't cut his, oh, thank you, Josh. Josh already answered me. He don't like to lose money on anything, but he mentioned Gary Ellick's strategy of selling your maintenance agreement at break even, just to fill these up. This is how vital these are to your off season. So that's a great strategy. However, a pretty good strategy is just to convert to a monthly. I'm gonna show you a little something here that I did for my students. A little monthly payments system, and this is really going to. There we go. Okay, so here's basically what we're looking at. You've got different types of maintenance agreements. We've got full coverage, we've got partial, and then we've got maintenance only. And this is primarily, you really need to look at your state and see which one of these you're legally allowed to do, because full maintenance, some of these aren't offerable. But if you had a 3-tiered maintenance agreement program, for example, and this was your gold, and maybe this was your platinum, and maybe this is the blue star, or whatever your VIP level might be, then you can tier this out. But this might be $20 a month. This might be $30 a month. This might be $50 a month. But the point is, if we go per month, then we know that we have a consistent revenues coming in, and Nick's going to elaborate on that. And it's just good, steady work. And if we start to focus on now this is what the benefits are to you, the contractor, obviously. It's showing $900 to $1,200 per service agreement. This is industry standards, by the way. These numbers might be a little higher than this now. I'm not sure when the date is on this, but if you have a structured process, that's the key part there. With your technicians, you're looking at $900 to $1,200. We said $1,000 per service agreement per year of organic and steady revenues coming into your business. So if you have 1,000, you're looking at $1 million plus in revenues based off of your customer base without advertising for any additional customers. And there's a host of other KPIs that we can look at. But the point is, this whole thing has been about how do we stay busy. This piece right here, this piece that Pete just kind of ran through, is the biggest part of this period. Of course, none of it works if you don't know how to sell. None of it works if you don't know how to get them to come in to begin with. All these pieces have to fit, but this is your baby. This is where your success comes from. Your mission in life right now should be to get every service agreement you possibly can on every call 100% of the time. How do you do that? Nick may touch on this, but what we did in our flat rate book, pricing book, we had a standard price for repair, and customers looking right at it. Maybe we had an overtime price, and then we had this discount price, a member price, and then maybe we had a deeper discount member price, gold and platinum. And so you point over to the high price. Well, it looks like this repair is going to be $412. And if your price books are done properly, they're really going to highlight those member pricing. What is that over here? Oh, that's for members. They're on a maintenance program with us. You should do that. You know what? I'll give you the discount today if you want to go ahead and take advantage of that. Convert every one of these you possibly can. Fine. If you don't have a maintenance agreement program, here's one. I'll shoot this to anybody that wants it. Let me bring this one up. This is what I did for one of my students right here. Maybe 3. Okay. Screen share. 700 buttons later. And so, yeah. Let's see if I can, boom. Okay. So this is basically an Excel spreadsheet. You've seen the same basic stuff out there. We've dropped his logo in here. He calls it the Energy Savings Agreement Club. This is what the value is. We've got the gold level and the platinum level. And then here's how many tune-ups per year. Maybe you've got a a repair warranty of 2 years versus 5 years. And then there's just different benefits that are going to come in here. So it includes the condenser coil, straightening and cleaning the fins as required, evaporator coil, inspecting and cleaning as required, and so on and so forth. These are the steps, but over here are the benefits. Major studies have concluded that proper air conditioning maintenance can, number one, increase comfort, number two, lower operating costs, number three, increase system capacity, number four, ensure longer equipment life. So this is a really easy piece to present. One page, have them sign it, set them up. Let's see here, cost per system is $24 for the basic gold. Each additional one is $20. So if they had 2 systems, that'd be $44 a month. And you can do something like this. It's really, really that easy. You can convert these to digital documents, send them in, have them fill them out, send it back, and just put them on a repeated billing system. This is really good because if you have it on recurring billing, you don't have to come in and ask for that renewal every year, because you always have a percentage that will opt out for whatever reason. And it's really not in their best interest to opt out, because as soon as they do, something's going to go out. George, got a question?
Just we did the monthly, like you showed there just a few minutes ago. We used a program called Payzer. And this is just my experience or my company's experience with that. And if people would get the discount, and then another month later they cancel it, then you have the expiring credit card, and then you have the people that just stop paying on it altogether. So we had, the administrative part of the monthly was actually costing me more than the monthly maintenance contracts, if that makes sense. Now we could sell a lot more like that, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, it was costing me more than to have them pay it full price.
You know what immediately comes to my mind, George, would be the program is $200 a month. In order to qualify for the discount, you have to go ahead and invest in the full year, and then we can renew it or just put you on a monthly from there. So at least you got your first year covered, and then at that point have it renewal. If just an idea.
Okay, that's a better way to do it.
And there may be better ways than that. Any other ideas? Anybody? We good? So we've covered a lot. Let me just kind of go back. Image. My daughter bought me this iPhone, right? And it came in this box. It was really kind of cool. This is old. That's my beautiful daughter and granddaughter. But I was so impressed. I don't know if you guys have bought one of these. The casing. My baby girl loves me. All the cool things, and the earbud piece. It was just, this is a quality box, right? But it's an expensive freaking phone, isn't it? Somehow when you package things really well, it justifies that strong investment. And this is really all I got. It's a phone. Takes pretty good pictures and things like that. Our packaging is huge. Guys, the image, your old image, got to go. Got to go if you haven't taken it up. I know there's a couple of you guys, I've seen some of your wraps. Some of them look pretty good. But and I haven't seen everybody's, and it's all relative, the eye of the beholder and all that good stuff. But if you don't have, with that kick charge, the guys that do the wrap, that type of stuff, if you don't have that, bam. So when they pull up, this justifies what I'm getting ready to spend. But if one of these competitors come out and say, well, we've got a good phone, forget the box, it just doesn't have the same impact. People are going to judge you based on that image. So we started there. We went into that image is going to get you in the door, if you get the message out there right. The service opportunities, Joe went through that with us. The replacement opportunities, Sam went through that with us. Identifying which services we can sell in the off season. We went through that together. For those of you who jumped on that, duct cleaning and attic work, particularly really hot, like replacing the duct system, not the equipment. Obviously, you want to do that when you can. Closing ratios. Where do we want to spend our marketing? It's based on closing ratios, right? The same salesperson is getting, 20% over here, 50% over there, but 80 to 90% over here. So where do we want to focus our efforts? We talked about social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. And now we're talking about additional social media like YouTube, leveraging video marketing, getting your name out there. Not just focusing on that 3%, like Dennis said, but going after that 97% by getting your message out there, becoming the authority in your market, and stabilizing your business with maintenance agreements. We're going to go on from there. We're going to talk about processes and systems. We're going to talk about the high-profile dealer, how to be highly visual in your market, and then leadership and culture and how to take control of your business and keep it all together in a way that allows you to be in control. Wouldn't it be nice to have a business that you owned instead of having one that owns you? You ever feel that way? It can be done. Yeah, and we all have to go through this. Every one of us with the biggest heads and pride, and I was one of them, we think, oh, I've got this. All I need is more marketing. There's more to it. There's just more to it. And then once we have this basic structure in place and we're holding our capacity and we've got something to work with, now we can really dive into our financials and start really being professionals. That's what a lot of these big companies are all talking about. We're going to deep dive here, deep dive there. And we need that. But there's certain things that we have to get stabilized first. And that's what this whole thing is about, with the 12 months of summer, is to get us stabilized and put you back in control. And then you're going to be ready to take some of these other steps, but always consider reinvesting right back in yourself in terms of additional training. You as the owner, in my program, I'm showing the guys how the owner needs to have his training agenda. The office staff needs to have theirs, continuing education. The technicians, they have to be not just internal, not just external with all the new technology coming out, but also internal with all your new processes and making sure they're polished. You know how many opportunities right now that your employees are losing because you're not there to catch what they're messing up? This is why we have to role play and do some of these things. This is being a leader. We'll get to that later. But hopefully this is all coming together and making sense. I really wanted to bring the maintenance agreements home for you. And I think you're going to enjoy Nick's program tomorrow. I sent him an email. It is about 3 a.m. right now for him. So he's going to be up at 2 a.m. presenting to us tomorrow night. And we appreciate him doing that. So hopefully you guys will support him and jump on the call. Any questions before I end the recording, and then we can just kind of go informal? Everybody's good? Eric?
I'll throw another question out there, and then we can put it informal if you want to. But with Facebook, live videos or like pre-recorded videos, put them on there. What's better? A lot of times I like to do like a pre-recorded where I cut it, edit it. That way I don't sound like an idiot, I guess, versus a live video. What's better there?
I'll tell you this, and maybe Dennis will jump in and throw his comment in here. But with my experience, I know they were pushing lives for a while. It was getting more exposure because they wanted to promote that. But I've had the best impression with pre-recorded, editing out my because I do that a lot, and really making sure it's polished. And then I would post that up to my business page, and then I would share it on my private page, and then I would boost it over on my business page for a few bucks and get it out there. And you can dial in on your demographic. I want, this zip code, like you said, this age and everything else. For me, it's all HVAC guys and things like that. Dennis, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Eric, unless you have a huge following, I mean, tens of thousands of people, going live probably isn't going to get you the best reception. I mean, I've seen people that I follow that have, a couple thousand people, and there's 1 or 2 people on their live. You're best to just record it, edit it, and then throw it on your story.
Good.
Thanks, guys. Good answers. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap the recording portion up. Hey, guys, thank everybody for joining us. Tomorrow, session 6, we're going to be talking with Nick McDonald. He's going to be talking to us about how to get these maintenance agreements sold. He has a program. I believe he calls it 100 maintenance agreements every 90 days per tech. Not bad. Not bad. So we're going to jump on his program tomorrow live, same time, same link, same everything. And all of this, by the way, guys, are going to be going on the YouTube channel on a playlist, one after another. So you can see this in the future later if it's a benefit to you. If they're going to be in the local private group, Facebook private group for a while, but ultimately we'll start cleaning that stuff out so that we can free it up for other things as well. But thanks everybody for participating, and I will see you on the next call. Pete here. We'll talk to you then.